The bus depot lights buzzed like tired bees. A girl with a paper wristband and a cracked plastic rabbit stared at the row of Harleys. "My mama died today," she whispered to the Hells Angels captain. "Can I spend a day with you?" Helmets lifted, engines went quiet. Hearts didn't. In the river town of Bracken Ferry, the Hells Angels kept their clubhouse in a converted cannery that smelled faintly of oil and orange peels. Barrett Stone Keegan, the chapter captain, was tightening a chain when he saw her. Thin, 12, eyes too steady for childhood. She stood under the depot awning, rain peppering her hoodie, paper hospital band bright against her wrist. Behind Stone, his brothers Roar, Pike, Sawyer, Patch, Hines, Griggs, and Harlan fell silent, their laughter cooling like chrome after a hard ride. The girl lifted her chin. "My name's Nora Dawn. Mama June Dawn. She didn't wake up." A plastic rabbit dangled from her fingers, the ear taped with glitter stars. Stone removed his gloves slowly, as if loud movements might break what little she had left. "You eatin'?" he asked. Nora shook her head. Patch was already moving. 2 cups of cocoa, a grilled cheese from the griddle. Stone knelt, leather creaking. "You're safe with us, kid." She swallowed hard. "Just for one day," she said. Stone's jaw tightened. "Let's start with tonight." Inside the cannery, the air warmed with coffee, wet denim, and the sweet sting of citrus cleaner. Nora cupped the cocoa with both hands like it might run. Stone draped a dry flannel across her shoulders. "Tell me what happened," he said, voice low as river gravel. She spoke in careful pieces. The night shift at the laundry, her mama's cough that wouldn't quit, the morning ambulance, the white room with machines that blinked like faraway cities. "They asked if there was family," Nora whispered. "There isn't. Just us." She didn't cry. It looked like she'd already spent those tears somewhere private. Roar slid a plate toward her. "Eat slow," he murmured. Around the table, the brothers listened with their hands still. No clatter, no jokes. Stone phoned the hospital. Patch checked the band for a case number and nodded once. "Confirmed," he said softly. A storm rattled the corrugated roof. Nora flinched. Stone reached without thinking, steadying the cup in her small, shaking hands. "We'll figure this out," he said. Together, they drove Nora to St. Willard's under wipers thumping like tired metronomes. Stone handled the papers, shoulders squared the way men do when someone else can't. Patch stayed with Nora in the hallway, pointing out a crooked painting of boats and saying nothing about the room behind the door. When a nurse finally emerged, her face carried the kind of softness tired people earn. "Time?" Stone asked. 3:21, she said. They let Nora sit a minute with June, still peaceful, hands folded as if tucking in the whole world. Nora placed the rabbit at the foot of the sheet and whispered, "I'll be okay." It sounded like a promise she didn't believe yet. Outside, she wiped her cheeks with the heel of her hand. "Can I spend a day with you?" she asked again, words tiny but unbroken. Stone's throat worked. "A day, week, however long you need." She blinked. "Just one day," she repeated. Stone nodded once, like a vow. "Then we'll make it a good one." "First rule," Stone said back at the clubhouse. "You eat before we fix anything." Nora nodded, obedient the way kids get when life has asked too much already. After grilled cheese halves and a pickle, Stone placed a tiny wrench in her palm. "Second rule, you learn something." He showed her how to check a chain, how to count teeth on a sprocket, how sound tells truth before eyes do. Roar snuck a stripe of red vinyl onto her rabbit's ear. Patch taught her the old biker handshake, K, the gentle one for little hands. Between laughter and careful silences, Nora told small things. June sang Patsy Cline when folding sheets. Their apartment smelled like cinnamon toast and bleach. Birthdays were cupcakes with 2 spoons. When thunder shuddered the walls, Nora froze. Stone flicked the shop lights off. The storm softened to a drum line. Hear that? He said. Just weather passing through, she breathed. Are you angels? Stone's mouth twitched. Not even close, he said, tapping his chest patch. But we try. Morning found surfaces shining, and a spare cot set beneath the old cannery windows. On the pillow sat a new hoodie, black, soft, stitched with a tiny wing. Nora traced the thread like it was a map. Stone brewed coffee, thick as honesty. We'll talk to County, he said. Make sure you're steady. The word steady felt kinder than safe. At the door, a woman in a tan blazer arrived, heels tapping like impatient clocks. I'm Mara Beckett, Child Services, she announced, eyes sweeping leather, chrome, patched vests, lingering on knuckles and tattoos. Ms. Dawn needs placement. Stone folded his arms. Ms. Dawn needs breakfast. Mara's smile didn't reach her eyes. I'll handle what she needs. Before Stone could answer, a man slipped in behind her, thin, cologne strong, a smile practiced in mirrors. Family, he said, tapping his chest. Rex Corbin, June's cousin. Nora's shoulders locked. Stone looked at Patch. Patch's eyes had already measured the man's shoes, watch, and lies. Documents? Stone asked. Rex flashed papers. I'll take the girl. Stone's voice went flat. Not today. Nora moved behind him and finally exhaled. The social worker's car idled at the curb, exhaust curling like hesitation. Stone stood between her and the rain, leather darkening with drops. You're obstructing procedure, Mara said. You're forgetting compassion, Stone answered. Patch handed her a coffee. Black, none, oh sugar, the closest thing to a truce. Behind them, Nora peeked from the doorway, Rabbit clutched tight. Rex's smile didn't move his eyes. Paperwork's valid, he said. June left debts. I'll settle them once I've got her. Stone stepped closer, voice level but dangerous. She's not a ledger. Rex chuckled. Big talk for a mechanic in a clubhouse. Patch muttered. Mechanic's about to remodel your teeth. The rain thickened. Mara hesitated, watching how Nora's fingers wrapped Stone's vest. Give us 48 hours, Stone said. You'll get proof he's lying. Her jaw worked, then she nodded once. Rex swore under his breath and slammed his door. The car fishtailed off, leaving gravel and tension hanging in the wet air. That night, the angels gathered around the long oak table. Candlelight flickered off chrome parts and half-empty mugs. Stone unfolded the fake custody papers under a lamp. Signatures digital, Patch said. File dates wrong by 2 weeks. Roar drummed a tattoo on the wood. So Rex is after cash. Life insurance, Stone replied. The room chilled. June had a policy. 25 grand. Guess who's beneficiary if Nora disappears? Silence. Outside, the wind pushed at the tin roof, whispering like ghosts. We ride at dawn, Stone said finally. Find the truth before suits do. Doc poured another round. You sure? County won't like us sniffing in records. Stone's eyes hardened. They didn't like us saving kids either. In the corner, Nora watched, wrapped in an oversized hoodie, pretending not to listen. When she whispered, What if he finds me first? Stone met her gaze. Then he'll learn what happens when angels guard their own. At sunrise, the Harleys rolled out, 10 machines breathing thunder. Mist lifted off the river like smoke from prayer. Nora watched from the porch, fingers tucked in her sleeves. Patch stayed behind to keep her safe, teaching her how to twist bolts and whistle for the clubhouse dog, Diesel. Stone's convoy cut toward town, engines low through empty streets. At the courthouse annex, he flashed his ID from the Veterans Registry. It still carried weight with old clerks. Need death certificate records, he said. The clerk frowned at the patches but typed. 5 minutes later, she slid him a file. Funny thing, she murmured. The insurance claim came yesterday. Already stamped paid. Stone's jaw flexed. To who? Rex Corbin, she whispered. The convoy regrouped outside. Rain threatened again. He's cashing her like a check, Roar growled. Stone mounted up. Then we cash in some justice. They roared back toward Bracken Ferry, thunder chasing thunder, compassion burning hotter than rage. Back at the cannery, Nora sat cross-legged on the floor, sketching bikes in chalk. Patch watched from the couch, shotgun within reach. Diesel's tail thumped lazily until headlights swept the wall. "Cap's back," Patch said, then heard the engine whine. Wrong rhythm, too slick. He rose. Outside, Rex's SUV idled, rain streaking its windshield. He stepped out, smug and sure. "Easy way or hard?" he said, flashing a badge that wasn't his. "Kid comes with me." Patch grinned without humor. "Fake badge to match your fake soul." Rex's hand twitched near his coat. Diesel barked low and warning. Then tires howled. Stone's convoy sliding in from both ends of the street, blocking escape. Chrome gleamed under floodlights. Stone dismounted first, water running down his jaw. "You shouldn't have come alone," he said. Rex sneered. "You gonna kill me?" Stone shook his head slowly. "Nah, we don't kill thieves. Woo, expose them." Sirens answered in the distance. "Real ones this time." The sheriff's cruiser skidded to a stop beside the line of bikes. "What's this circus?" he barked. Stone handed him the forged papers, the insurance claim, and Rex's fake badge. The old lawman scanned, face tightening. "You boys cleaned up my town once again," Rex sputtered. "They're criminals." The sheriff pocketed the badge. "Funny. Only crime I see is yours." Two deputies cuffed him while the rain eased into drizzle. Nora stood in the doorway, hair plastered, rabbit dangling. Stone knelt beside her. "It's done." She blinked up. "Then why do I still feel scared?" He brushed a wet strand from her cheek. "'Cause being safe's new. Takes time." The sheriff tipped his hat. "You keep her till placement's sorted." Stone nodded. The convoy fired up, engines humming like lullabies this time. As they rolled out for one last lap around the block, Nora whispered to herself, "Maybe angels do ride Harleys." For the first time in weeks, the clubhouse felt calm. Nora's drawing of the angels now hung above the jukebox. 10 bikes under a gold sun, a little girl between them. Patch had written beneath it in thick marker, "Family rides here." She grinned each time she passed it. Stone spent mornings teaching her small things, how to oil a chain, how to listen to an engine instead of just hearing it. "Every machine's got a heartbeat," he said. "Treat it right. It'll never leave you stranded." Sometimes she'd sit on the curb, tapping her heels to the idle rumble of bikes, like she was learning the rhythm of belonging. That night during dinner, she whispered, "Mama used to say home smells like toast." Patch laughed. "Then this must be heaven, kid. We burn everything." For the first time, she giggled. Soft, real. Stone watched her and thought, not for the first time, that maybe saving her had saved them too. But peace never lasts without testing it. A week later, a state agent arrived, gray suit, badge real this time. "Temporary custody review," he said, scanning the clubhouse like it offended his tie. Nora stiffened beside Stone. The man's tone dripped caution. "You realize, Mr. Keegan, your environment may not be deemed suitable for a minor." Stone crossed his arms. "You mean because of grease or loyalty?" The agent cleared his throat. "Because of optics." Nora spoke before Stone could. "He makes breakfast, he fixes engines, he listens when I talk. That's more family than paper ever gave me." The agent blinked, thrown off balance. Patch whispered, "She just cross-examined the state." Stone smirked but stayed silent. The man scribbled something, mumbled about further evaluation, and left with his shoulders tight. After he drove off, Nora asked, "Did I mess it up?" Stone knelt, meeting her eyes. "Kid, you didn't mess up anything. You just told the truth. And that's rare." The next morning brought sunlight sharp as glass. The angels gathered outside as Stone tuned his Harley. "We ride today," he said. "No drama, just wind." Nora ran out, helmet wobbling, tiny hands clutching her patch jacket someone had custom-stitched. Little wing. Patch strapped her to the back of Stone's bike, careful as a craftsman. "Hold on tight," he said. She grinned. "I'm not scared anymore." They rode the valley roads, chrome flashing like small suns, wind flattening fear into freedom. Fields blurred into gold ribbons, every curve echoed with laughter over engines. When they stopped at Miller's Diner, townfolk peeked through curtains, then waved. One old woman stepped out with pie boxes. "For the angels," she said. Stone paid double. Nora hugged her leg, whispering, "Thank you." Back on the bikes, she leaned against Stone's vest, whispering through the roar, "Feels like flying." He smiled under his helmet. "That's the point, Little Wing. We ride so the lost can breathe again." By nightfall, the convoy rolled back into Bracken Ferry, headlights carving ribbons through drizzle. At the clubhouse, the porch glowed warm with hanging bulbs. Stone carried Nora's helmet inside, hanging it beside the men's like it belonged. Later, as Diesel dozed by the fire, she traced her fingers over the wing patch. "If my mama could see this," she murmured. Stone looked up from polishing a carburetor. "She'd be proud, Nora." She tilted her head. "Of me?" He nodded. "And of us for keeping our promise." She bit her lip. "What promise?" "That you'd never be alone again." The quiet stretched soft as smoke. She crawled into the old leather chair next to him and whispered, "Then I think I'll stay more than a day." Stone swallowed hard, blinked once. "Yeah," he said. "Reckon we can manage that." Outside, rain whispered against chrome, and somewhere between thunder and breath, the old cannery stopped feeling like a clubhouse and started feeling like home. Winter touched Bracken Ferry early. The hills wore frost like lace, and exhaust looked like dragon smoke. Stone found Nora bundled in 3 scarves, sketching in chalk on the driveway. "What's that?" he asked. She pointed to the shapes, bikes, wings, and a tall figure holding a small hand. "It's a logo," she said shyly. "For us." He crouched beside her. The word us hit harder than the cold. That evening, the angels voted quietly. No ceremony, just raised hands and nods. Patch announced it first. "It's official, kid. Your family." They handed her a tiny leather cut, stitched by hand, back patch reading, "Hell's Angels Support Crew, Little Wing." Her lip trembled, then broke into a grin so wide it rewired the whole room. "Does this mean I ride forever?" she asked. Stone smiled. "Yeah, but not behind us anymore." He lifted her onto his bikie, a seat. "One day, you'll lead." Her laughter rose bright enough to chase winter back a step. 3 months later, Bracken Ferry woke to spring. Daffodils cracked through the gravel, and for the first time since June dawn's passing, laughter came easily. Nora helped Patch wash the bikes, giggling when the hose sprayed her boots. Stone watched from the porch, arms folded, a quiet pride softening the hard lines of his face. "You missed a spot," she teased. He threw her a towel. "Captain's privilege." In town, people had started waving instead of whispering. The same sheriff who once eyed their jackets now brought his son for engine lessons. The angels once feared had become guardians in leather. That afternoon, a letter came, state seal stamped blue. Stone opened it slow, thumb tracing words that made his throat lock. "Permanent custody awarded to Barrett Keegan." He looked at Nora. "Means you're stuck with us now." She blinked, then flung her arms around him. "Best stuck ever," she said. Outside, the river wind carried June's memory like a blessing. The celebration that night wasn't loud, it was warm. Lanterns strung across the yard, guitars humming old road songs, laughter mixing with the hiss of grills. Nora stood on the picnic table wearing her tiny leather cut, Patch shining under the bulbs. "Speech!" Patch shouted. She held up her hands, pretending to hush a crowd of thousands. "I just want to say," she began, voice cracking, "thanks for letting me stay a day and forever." The men cheered, thumping tables, someone wiping his eyes and blaming the smoke. Stone lifted his mug. "To Little Wing," he said, voice low but sure. "Proof that angels don't fall, they find new skies." Later, when the crowd thinned, Nora sat by the fire. "Do you think Mama knows?" she asked. Stone looked toward the stars. "Yeah, kid. She sent you loud enough we all heard." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then she sent you back to me." Neither of them corrected the other. Summer roll. At in with the smell of dust and gasoline. The Angels started a charity ride, Miles for Mothers, raising funds for single parents at the local shelter. Nora rode in the lead truck with Diesel, tossing red ribbons to waving kids. "You're famous," Patch called from his bike. "You're old," she shot back. Laughter rippled down the convoy. When they pulled into town square, the mayor, tie crooked, hands shaking, handed Stone a plaque. Community Service Award. Reporters snapped photos of patched bikers beside a grinning child. One asked, "Mr. Keegan, what changed you?" Stone shrugged. "We didn't change. People finally looked closer." That night, the photo went viral. "Hell's Angels help local girl heal." Comments flooded in. "Faith in humanity restored." Nora read them aloud, giggling. "You're internet famous," Stone groaned. "That's the worst kind." She smiled. Still, Mama would have liked it. The room fell quiet, but it wasn't sad. It was full, the kind of full that means something was finally whole. Autumn came slow. Leaves turned like pages, gold and rust against the gray river. Nora started school, dropped off every morning by a line of Harleys idling at the curb. Kids pressed faces to windows, whispering. Teachers smiled nervously until they saw her wave. "That's my uncle," she'd say proudly. She drew them in crayon. Bikes with wings, big hearts, tiny halos of smoke. One afternoon she came home with a paper marked Family Tree. She'd filled every branch. Stone, Patch, Roar, Diesel the dog, even the diner lady who gave her pie. Under Mother, she'd written June Dawn, watching above. Under Father, she'd written Barrett Keegan, rides fast, cooks slow. When Stone found it pinned to the fridge, he stood there for a long time, jaw tight. Later Nora asked, "You like it?" He nodded. "You gave me a new name too." She grinned. "Yeah, it means safe." For once, he didn't have a comeback, just a hand over his heart. Winter returned gentle this time. Snow dusted the bikes like blessings instead of burdens. Inside the clubhouse, the fire hummed low. Nora sat cross-legged on the rug, wrapping gifts for the shelter kids. Tiny toy bikes, knitted scarves, handmade cards that said, "You're never alone." Stone handed her a mug of cocoa. "You remember your first night here?" he asked. "Yeah," she said softly. "You looked scary." He chuckled. "Still do?" She smiled. "Not to me." Outside, the Angels started their engines one by one, roaring hymns into the cold sky. Stone opened the door. "Ready to ride, little wing?" She zipped her jacket, slipped on her helmet, and nodded. "Always." As they rolled into the snowy street, chrome reflecting street lights like halos, Nora's voice echoed through the radio. "Hey, Stone." "Yeah?" "Thanks for finding me." He smiled beneath his visor. "You found us first." The convoy vanished into winter light, proof that even the hardest roads can lead home.